My name is Dan Yakes. I'm a local historian. I came to history through the formal processes of going to college. I have a bachelor's degree in history, a master's degree in history, another master's degree in American Studies, and a PhD in American Studies. So I'm not the ordinary local historian, but I'm a historian who specializes in local history. I have 8 current titles in print, some of which are about the White Lake area, and this series is all about White Lake and Montague and Whitehall and the surrounding townships. So within a mile, you have 2 different depots. Of course, there were passenger depots that carried freight as well. So this is how the enmity began. This is not serious rivalry. I mean, they don't attack one another with hatchets or the muzzle loaders or anything like that. On some issues, they work together. If, for example, there was a fire in Montague, the firefighters from across the river would come and fight the fire, or the other way around. If you had some important issue that had to be addressed by the entire community, they would work together. They did squabble with one another over athletics. Each had its own baseball team. But if a touring company, touring team from some other place came to town, these were semi-professionals, there weren't enough good ball players in either town to put up a decent team. So the 2 towns would combine their teams to play this visiting team. Like the Sons of David, for example, were a traveling team of baseball players. Also, they had a basketball team. And if they came to town, both towns would work together to try to defeat the visitors. They hardly won, but I mean, these are amateurs playing against semi-professionals who did that every day. Or there were various black athletes from Grand Rapids and Chicago that toured the Midwest, and the 2 towns would band together to form a team to play them. So there were times when they worked together. Another time they worked together was when the channel had to be rebuilt, the channel from White Lake into Lake Michigan. The 2 towns worked together. They called in chips from the various entities they knew. They all had contacts with Chicago. They all had, both towns had contacts with Milwaukee. They both had contacts with the Boy Scouts. They all had connections with both political parties. So they would call in all the help they could get in order to get funding to rebuild the channel. Of course, the channel was essential to the welfare of both towns. So why not work together for those kinds of things? Anytime they had a competition with Muskegon, it was easy to find people willing to help out, because nobody liked Muskegon. They loved to make fun of their little brothers. It's sort of like a couple of siblings. They fight with one another all the time, but some other cat comes along and interrupts, and they're both, now they're unified. You can't do that to my brother. I can beat up on him, but not you. You know, it's not your place. I hear all these stories all the time. I've lived around here for nearly 60 years, and you would hear all these stories. And I'll tell you what the stories usually are, but I've found practically no evidence of that. In Whitehall was comprised of 2 separate villages at one time. Whitehall proper, which was the northerly part of what is now Whitehall, and then Swedentown, which was across the gully from Whitehall. If a kid or a group of kids from Whitehall tried to cross the river into, and there was no bridge at that time, not a high trestle bridge like we have there. You hardly notice there's a bridge there at all because it's just part of the highway. But back in the 1870s, 1880s, the road dipped down to the creek, that's Bush Creek, and then you had to climb up the other side. So it was a natural place to ambush somebody, whether you were going north or going south. So the stories are that a group of kids from Whitehall or from Swedentown would try to cross the river and climb the other side, and they'd be met by hooligans from the other side. But again, I've never been able to document any of that. Then there are stories about a rivalry beginning at a football game and somebody making a pass at somebody from the other side. And I think really much of this antagonism is largely, I would attribute it mostly to the newspapers. We had 2 separate newspapers then, and we had 2 separate school systems. And then each town had its own set of teams as well. So like Whitehall and Montague, and sometimes the individual industries like the tannery or the Montague foundry would have baseball teams or basketball teams, and they would have competitions with teams from other parts of the community. So some of these rivalries begin that way. And then I recall being in school, and we would always get all revved up before we played another school in the same league. And then there were certain schools that we really got built up, but all that was just school spirit. I mean, we see a lot of it in colleges and high schools today. I think a lot of it is just a rivalry that's not all that serious, but makes you feel good because you've got a natural rival there.
Hi, I'm Jenna Potts, your local Farm Bureau insurance specialist with the Durga Insurance Group. Local agent, local service, and local savings. Come and see us today or visit our website, durgainsurancegroup.com, to find out more.
A lot of companies, they're sometimes in it more for themselves and closing that deal for just their monetary reward. And I think with Mario and his company, it's not just that, and I don't know if that always happens in our world.